In this video, we're covering all 31 ranks and titles in the wizarding world, starting with the systems of government before we move into the secretive and often perilous roles that give this society its shape. By the end, you'll see how these ranks stretch from bureaucratic desks to battlefields, and from classrooms to cursed ruins. Government. In the wizarding world, government isn't scattered across endless parliaments or councils. Instead, it is concentrated in a single towering building beneath the streets of London. Here, the Ministry of Magic assigns roles that shape the lives of every witch and wizard, from the figurehead who leads the nation to the shadows who enforce its darkest laws. Minister for Magic. Picture the grand atrium of the ministry, enchanted fireplaces sparking green, memos fluttering like origami birds, and in the middle of it all sits the figure every witch and wizard is meant to trust. The Minister for Magic isn't just a politician, they are the face of the entire community. Their job is simple on parchment but impossible in practice: to keep the magical world hidden from muggles, to maintain order among witches and wizards, and to project stability no matter how chaotic the times. Cornelius Fudge tried to cling to that illusion by denying Voldemort's return, and the cost was blood. His successor, Rufus Scrimgeour, attempted to restore faith through strength but collapsed under the war he couldn't contain. And Kingsley Shacklebolt, stepping in after the Battle of Hogwarts, showed how the right leader could steady even the most fractured society. Holding the title is not an honor, it is a constant danger. One wrong move and the press tears them apart. Too much denial and they lose the trust of the public. Too much openness and muggles might catch on. Every minister is judged by how well they walk that tightrope, and most eventually fall. Head of Department. Walk down the endless corridors of the ministry, and you'll find brass plaques marking offices with names most wizards will never see. Each one belongs to a head of department, the officials who run the ministry's vast machinery. These are the people who decide which laws are enforced, which experiments are allowed, and which creatures are deemed too dangerous to live. Amelia Bones, remembered for her sharp mind and unshakable fairness, ran the Department of Magical Law Enforcement with a presence so commanding even Voldemort feared her. Ludo Bagman, by contrast, treated the Department of Magical Games and Sports like his personal Quidditch clubhouse, a reminder that incompetence at this level can ripple across the entire country. And then there's the Department of Mysteries. Its head is never named, never seen, but still sits in that circle of power. The title itself promises control, but it carries chains as well. These leaders must answer to the minister, fend off political rivals, and shoulder the blame when things collapse. A careless choice in regulating creatures could unleash a catastrophe. A blind eye in magical law enforcement could mean unchecked dark wizards. Being head of department means every crisis, every scandal lands on your desk first. Auror/head Auror. If the minister is the public face of Wizarding Britain, Aurors are its sword and shield. Step into their office and you'll find case files stacked high with curses, hexes, and murders. A grim reminder that their work begins where ordinary law enforcement ends. Aurors are the hunters of dark wizards. They track Death Eaters through crumbling safe houses, duel in alleys where a single spell can mean death, and resist enchantments designed to break the strongest minds. Mad-Eye Moody, the most feared of them all, carried scars that told his story more vividly than any medal. Nymphadora Tonks, by contrast, proved that even in the darkest job, adaptability and courage could shine through. Above them stands the Head Auror, the one responsible for shaping the entire force. After the war, Harry Potter himself took the position, a move that symbolized both hope and warning. Hope because the boy who lived now defended the peace he'd won. Warning because if Harry was still needed, it meant the fight against dark magic was never finished. To wear the Auror title is to accept a short life expectancy. One wrong duel, one miscast shield, and the career ends in seconds. The Head Auror carries the additional burden. When one of their own falls, it's their failure. The glory of the title is real, but so is the price. Hit Wizards. Not every dark wizard is powerful enough to warrant an Auror, but some threats still require force. That's where Hit Wizards come in. They're the ministry's strike team. Less detectives, more soldiers. Their job is to subdue criminals quickly, often in chaotic situations where spells are flying in all directions. Think of them as the wizarding equivalent of riot police. It's dangerous, exhausting work, and rarely glamorous. Where Aurors chase Voldemort's followers, Hit Wizards are breaking up gangs, raiding dens, and taking curses meant for someone else. The title sounds sharp, but it comes with limits. They're not celebrated heroes, they're expendable. When a mission goes wrong, their names don't make the profit. Still, without them, the ministry's fragile sense of order would collapse in a week. Obliviators. When magic leaks into the Muggle world, the Ministry sends Obliviators. These witches and wizards arrive quietly after the damage is done, wiping memories clean so no one remembers the broomstick crash, the exploding cauldron, or the dragon flying overhead. The work is thankless, invisible, and morally heavy. An Obliviator can erase a single moment or an entire day, and in doing so, erase part of a person's life. Some see it as protection, others as a quiet abuse of power. Either way, the wizarding world survives on their silence. If one memory remains, the secret world is exposed. Too heavy a hand, and the Muggle might lose more than they should. The title may not inspire fear or respect, but without Obliviators, the Statute of Secrecy would have collapsed centuries ago.
Obliviate.
Unspeakables. The Department of Mysteries has no windows, no gossip, and no explanations. Its workers are called Unspeakables, and the title says it all. They study the deepest riddles of existence, time, death, love, thought, even prophecy, but are forbidden to speak about any of it. Their role matters because the entire magical world relies on mysteries they half understand. Time-turners that can undo days, prophecies that can spark wars, and chambers that hold truths too dangerous for public knowledge. An Unspeakable's life is a paradox, immense knowledge paired with total silence. They cannot brag, they cannot warn, they cannot explain. When disaster strikes, like the night Voldemort's followers invaded the department, they are left faceless in the crossfire, their secrets bleeding into the open. Magical Law Enforcement Squad. Not every wizard breaking rules is a Death Eater. Many are petty criminals, reckless duelists, or merchants dabbling in illegal charms. These are the problems handled by the Magical Law Enforcement Squad, the Ministry's everyday police. They patrol, investigate, and keep the streets calm while Aurors and Hit Wizards deal with darker work. It sounds mundane, but without them, chaos would spread quickly. Even a single hex gone wrong in Diagon Alley could cause panic if left unchecked. The problem is scale. They are stretched thin, poorly resourced, and often blamed for failures outside their control. The title carries authority, but not much respect. They are the Ministry's backbone, but also its scapegoat. Wizengamot members. Step into the circular chamber of the Wizengamot, and you'll hear centuries of judgment echoing from the benches. The members sit robed in plum, presiding over trials that decide fates. At their head, the Chief Warlock commands the proceedings, a title Dumbledore himself once carried. The Wizengamot acts as both high court and legislative body, an ancient echo of wizarding aristocracy. Its purpose is simple, to maintain order through law. But its history is tangled with bias. Families of power often secure seats, meaning justice can bend under political weight. A misjudgment can send an innocent to Azkaban, while corruption can free the guilty. For all its tradition, the Wizengamot proves that in the wizarding world, law and power often wear the same cloak. International Confederation of Wizards. Beyond Britain's ministry sits an even older council, the International Confederation of Wizards. Picture it as a magical United Nations, only more secretive and even less cooperative. Each country sends figures of influence, gathering to debate laws that affect the wizarding world as a whole. Its purpose is lofty, to keep magical societies connected, to uphold the Statute of Secrecy worldwide, and to prevent wizarding wars from spilling across borders. But in practice, it's plagued with rivalry. Old grudges between nations echo through every meeting and progress crawls. A single disagreement could fracture alliances, leaving some wizarding communities vulnerable or exposed. When the Confederation fails to act, the cracks in magical unity widen fast. Supreme Mugwump. At the top of this council sits the Supreme Mugwump, a title as old as the Confederation itself. Dumbledore once held it, his reputation enough to silence most arguments before they began. The Mugwump isn't just a chairman, they're the voice of wizardkind in global crises. The role matters because international disputes often require swift central authority. A dragon outbreak in Romania, a goblin rebellion in another country, the Mugwump is expected to lead response. Yet, the position is fragile. If the office holder loses credibility, the Confederation splinters. The danger is that prestige alone does not guarantee obedience. Even with Dumbledore in charge, not every wizarding government followed his call, showing how this title carries authority only as long as others are willing to respect it. Envoys and representatives. Beneath the Mugwump, individual countries send envoys and representatives. They wear no single uniform, but their role is the same, to speak for their homeland's magical population. Their work is thankless. Envoys are caught between their ministry's demands and the Confederation's slow compromises. When agreements are reached, they return home to explain why so little has changed. When no progress is made, they're blamed for failure. Many envoys fade into obscurity, remembered only for the disputes they failed to settle. Yet without them, no fragile link would exist between wizarding nations at all. Hogwarts. If the Ministry is the brain of the wizarding world, Hogwarts is its beating heart. Every British witch and wizard passes through its doors, and the titles within its walls carry a weight that shapes generations. Some positions command absolute respect, others test a student's courage, but each role helps define the culture of the magical world. Headmaster/Headmistress. The office at the top of the castle is cluttered with whirring gadgets, sleeping portraits, and a phoenix that watches every visitor with burning eyes. This is the domain of the headmaster or headmistress, the figure who sets the tone for the entire school. It is not just an administrative post. The head has to balance ancient traditions with the unpredictable nature of magical teenagers, keep the school safe against forces from both outside and within, and stand as a moral compass in a world where morality shifts like shadows. Albus Dumbledore transformed the title into a symbol of wisdom and defiance, while Dolores Umbridge twisted it into one of tyranny and fear. The power of the head comes with limits. They are tied to the Board of Governors, subject to ministry interference, and reliant on the loyalty of staff and students. When that loyalty wavers, the school itself becomes ungovernable. The consequence is simple. The head's leadership decides whether Hogwarts thrives or whether it falls into chaos. Deputy Head. When the headmaster falters or is absent, the deputy head steps in. Minerva McGonagall embodied this role, strict, unyielding, yet fiercely protective of her students. The deputy ensures the school keeps running, schedules stay intact, and discipline doesn't collapse when the head's attention is pulled elsewhere. The position carries authority, but little glory. Deputies are the ones enforcing curfews, issuing punishments, and managing disputes that never make the history books. Yet, in moments of crisis, they're the anchor keeping Hogwarts upright. Heads of House. Each student finds a second home in Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, or Hufflepuff, and every one of those homes has a leader. Heads of House are more than administrators. They are guardians, mentors, and sometimes stern disciplinarians. Severus Snape shielded his Slytherins, fiercely loyal even when it bred resentment elsewhere. McGonagall again became the face of Gryffindor pride, pushing her lions to greatness. The role matters because students see their head of house as both protector and judge, a figure who decides detentions but also fights for their future. Favoritism breeds resentment, and neglect creates division. A head who fails their house risks damaging not just individual students, but the very unity of the school. Professors. The title of professor at Hogwarts is more than a job, it's an identity. Each subject, from potions to charms to transfiguration, shapes the magical foundation of every young witch and wizard. Professors bring their personalities into the classroom, for better or worse. Lupin turned defense against the dark arts into a lifeline of courage, while Snape made potions a chamber of fear. Their purpose is simple: pass on knowledge that might one day save a life. But the classroom is also a battlefield of egos, rivalries, and dangerous experiments. The consequence of failure can be catastrophic. A botched potion could maim a student, a careless charm might kill. At Hogwarts, teaching magic is not just education, it is daily risk. Caretaker. The caretaker lives in the cracks of the castle, patrolling corridors after curfew, forever chasing students who bend the rules. Argus Filch, the most infamous to hold the post, had no magic of his own yet wielded discipline like a weapon. His lantern light hunts through the halls became legend. The role exists to maintain order and protect the school's integrity, but it also exposes its holder to resentment. Few students respect the caretaker. Most fear or mock them.
Students out of bed! Students in the corridor!
They are supposed to be out of bed, you blithering idiot.
Gamekeeper. Step outside the stone walls and you find the Gamekeeper's realm. The grounds, the forest, the creatures too wild for classrooms. Rubeus Hagrid redefined the role, turning it from a simple custodian of beasts into a bridge between students and the magical world beyond textbooks. The Gamekeeper is responsible for dangerous tasks, taming hippogriffs, tending to blast-ended scroots, even negotiating with centaurs. It is a role that demands loyalty to the school and fearlessness in the face of creatures that could kill a careless wizard in seconds. The limits are obvious. Too much leniency and danger leaks into the castle. Too much caution, and the magic of discovery dies. The gamekeeper's success or failure is measured in both wonder and scars.
Killed me! It's killed me!
Calm down. It's just a scrap.
Prefects. Among the students, some are chosen to carry a badge that glows with authority. Prefects. They patrol corridors, dock house points, and set an example, at least in theory. The role matters because it introduces hierarchy into student life, training future leaders while keeping peers in line. Yet the badge breeds rivalry. Percy Weasley thrived on the status, while Fred and George mocked it mercilessly. A prefect who abuses power divides a house. One who shirks responsibility leaves chaos in their wake. Prefects shape how discipline feels from within. To some, they are guides. To others, they are spies of the staff. Head boy / head girl. At the very top of the student hierarchy stand the head boy and head girl, chosen from the 7th years. The badge is more than decoration. It grants authority over all students, including other prefects. This role matters because it places teenagers in positions of near-adult responsibility. They represent Hogwarts at official functions, enforce rules, and act as intermediaries between staff and pupils. Percy Weasley treated it as a stepping stone to power. Others treated it with quiet duty. Some students can carry the weight, while others crumble under the pressure. A weak head boy or head girl leaves the school rudderless in student leadership, while a strong one can set a tone of respect that lingers long after graduation. Quidditch captain. On the pitch, robes billowing in the wind, the Quidditch captain commands more than just a team. They decide strategies, manage lineups, and inspire their players through rivalries that define school pride. Oliver Wood turned his captaincy into a near obsession, drilling Gryffindor until every match felt like war. Others treated it as a chance to enjoy the game, but either way, the title demanded balance between competitiveness and camaraderie. A poor captaincy means lost games, dwindling house morale, and humiliation in front of the entire school. The badge may only last a season, but its impact lingers on reputations for years. Librarian. Hidden among shelves of enchanted tomes sits the librarian, a quieter role but no less crucial. Irma Pince guarded the Hogwarts library like a dragon sitting on treasure, her suspicion of students matched only by the dangers lurking in the restricted section. The librarian's purpose is to safeguard knowledge, much of it centuries old and potentially lethal. A single loose page could curse a child, and a stolen book could unleash forbidden magic. The downside is a life spent in shadows, rarely appreciated until disaster strikes. When control slips, dark spells and secrets escape into eager hands, proof that the librarian's vigilance is one of the castle's unspoken defenses. Professional and occupational. Not every title in the wizarding world comes from government or school. Many are forged through craft, service, or dangerous expertise. These ranks define how wizards work, heal, and innovate, roles that keep society alive long after the classroom years are over. Healer. Walk into St. Mungo's Hospital and you'll see them in lime green robes, wands at the ready. Healers are the wizarding world's doctors, trained to mend everything from spell burns to venomous bites. Their skill lies not only in magic, but in judgment, knowing when to use a charm, when to brew a potion, and when no spell can save a life. The title is respected, but the work is brutal. During Voldemort's wars, healers worked round the clock, patching up Aurors 1 hour and Death Eater victims the next. Their limits are clear. Some curses cannot be undone, some scars run deeper than skin. Still, without them, wizarding society would collapse under its own dangers. Cursebreaker. At first glance, the role sounds adventurous, and for many it is. Cursebreakers are sent into tombs, vaults, and ruins, dismantling protections that could kill the untrained in seconds. Bill Weasley spent his career with Gringotts in Egypt, prying open chambers locked for centuries. The job exists to recover treasure, secure ancient sites, and protect wizarding communities from magical traps. But every assignment carries risk. One misstep could mean eternal sleep, a hex that burns through flesh, or imprisonment in a spell designed to last forever. Many cursebreakers never return, and those who do often carry injuries or knowledge that should never have been unearthed. Wandmaker. In a small shop on Diagon Alley, dust settles on narrow boxes stacked to the ceiling. Each one holds a wand crafted by Garrick Ollivander, perhaps the most famous wandmaker alive. The title is rare and sacred. Wandmakers create the tools that define every wizard's life. Their craft requires mastery of woods, cores, and enchantments that bind them together. A single flaw can make a wand unstable, even lethal. Their purpose is universal. Every witch and wizard needs a wand, yet their power is immense, for the maker shapes not just wood and core, but the destiny tied to it. If a wand chooses a wizard for evil, the maker must live with that. The title of wand maker is both creator and witness to the lives their work unleashes. Seer. Behind a curtain of incense and crystal balls sits the Seer, a title whispered more than celebrated. Sybil Trelawney lived this role, delivering vague predictions day after day until one true prophecy shook the entire world. A Seer's purpose is to glimpse fragments of the future, but the gift is unpredictable and uncontrollable. Some visions change lives, others sound like nonsense. The limits are cruel. A genuine prophecy can only be recalled in part, and many so-called seers are frauds who exploit belief. Real seers are dismissed as charlatans until their words come true, but by then, the damage is already set in stone.
Have I said something?
Magazoologist. Step into a forest where bowtruckles cling to branches and thunderbirds stir the skies. This is where a magazoologist thrives. Newt Scamander turned the title into legend, cataloging magical creatures with patience and compassion. The job matters because magical beasts can endanger or enrich society. Magazoologists study, classify, and sometimes protect these creatures, bridging the gap between wild magic and human understanding. But their work is perilous. A single misstep with a dragon or niffler can end a career, or a life. The result of their labor is knowledge that keeps the magical world balanced. Without them, creatures would be either hunted to extinction or left to run wild against unprepared communities. Alchemist. In the quiet corners of magical research, alchemists chase immortality. Nicholas Flamel, the only known maker of the Philosopher's Stone, embodied the title. Alchemists seek to transmute metals, create elixirs of life, and stretch the boundaries of existence itself. The purpose is both scientific and mystical. Alchemy blends chemistry with magic, promising wonders no other field can touch. Yet it is full of failure. Centuries of study have produced only one true Philosopher's Stone. Most alchemists die in pursuit of goals they never achieve, leaving behind notebooks of half-finished formulas. The title carries prestige, but also the shadow of futility. Magical recognition. Beyond jobs and classrooms, some titles carry the weight of law or the glow of honor. These ranks are about judgment, reward, and legacy. Names that live in courtrooms, medals, and tournament banners. Order of Merlin. Few accolades shine brighter than the Order of Merlin. First, second, or third class, it is the wizarding world's highest honor, bestowed for acts of bravery, achievement, or service. Witches and wizards who wear its green ribbon step into history's pages, their deeds cemented for generations. But recognition can be hollow. Gilderoy Lockhart flaunted his third-class award while hiding the lies behind it. The Order immortalizes names, but it cannot measure integrity. For every hero remembered through it, there are others whose contributions went unacknowledged. Champion. The title of champion is earned in fire, danger, and spectacle. The Triwizard Tournament thrusts its chosen into tasks that test courage, intelligence, and endurance, challenges so brutal that death is always on the edge of the crowd's cheers. Harry Potter stood as a champion not by choice but by binding magic, proving that the role can bring both glory and unbearable weight. To be champion is to stand alone, watched by thousands, every mistake magnified. Victory brings eternal fame, but defeat is written in gravestones. Other titles. Some ranks arise in commerce, media, or diplomacy, holding power in quieter but equally influential ways. These titles often stay in the background, yet they shape how wizards see money, news, and even the Muggle world itself. Chief Goblin. At Gringotts, authority lies not with the goblins who oversee the vaults. The Chief Goblin controls the bank's immense wealth, its dragon-guarded chambers, and the secrets buried under London. Every wizarding family, from the Malfoys to the Weasleys, is tied to this office through their gold. The title commands respect, but also resentment. Wizards rely on goblins for security, yet rarely treat them as equals. A Chief Goblin's decisions ripple through society, reminding everyone that control of treasure means control of power. Chief Editor. The Daily Prophet shapes public opinion more than any spell, and at its head sits the Chief Editor. This figure decides which stories make the front page, which scandals are buried, and whose reputation rises or falls overnight. When Voldemort returned, the Prophet's headlines denied it, a reflection not of truth, but of the editor's loyalty to the ministry. The title holds enormous influence, but it is influence chained to politics. An editor can sway belief, but only as long as readers trust the paper. Muggle Prime Minister Liaison. In a hidden office above the Muggle world works the liaison to the Prime Minister. Their task is delicate. Explain magical disasters in ways a non-magical leader can accept, while keeping the full truth veiled. Fudge once sat in that office, awkwardly assuring the Prime Minister that giants and Death Eaters were nothing to worry about. The title is less about authority and more about deception. It keeps the peace between two worlds that must never fully collide, but it also means carrying the burden of lies, and hoping the Muggle leader never realizes just how much is being hidden. If you want to go deeper into wizarding society, you need to see how magic itself is experienced differently across people. Watch next. All 6 levels of magical sensitivity explained.